LinkedIn tips for business to business. Now, I don't know about you, but when it comes to LinkedIn, I have to be honest, it's probably my very least social media platform. Mainly because I find it a little bit spammy and I guess I just don't know how to use it. But that was up until I met the amazing Jennifer Kokorin, aka my super connector, who is a LinkedIn G. And she showed me so many other ways that I can be using it more effectively. So if you've been wondering how can you use LinkedIn to find new leads, generate clients and find new collaborators, then you definitely want to watch this video, because by the end of this video, you're going to have some really concrete tips on how to use LinkedIn much more effectively for your business. Sound good? Let's get started.
Hello and welcome to the Boss Mindset Show, Jennifer.
Hi, Irene. Thank you so much for having me today. It's really great to be here.
No, thank you for being part of my Inspiring Women series. So today, as I said, I'm with the amazing Jennifer Kokorin, and Jennifer is a social media expert strategist and has the reason why I'm so excited about having Jennifer on the show today is because we actually met a few months ago over at the Cosmopolitan Self-Made Summit, didn't we?
We did, yeah. We had stands right beside each other.
Yes, exactly. And so Jennifer was there as one of Facebook's, I think, one of 24 in the whole entire country.
Yeah.
Officially, she means business ambassadors.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
For Facebook and Instagram.
And Instagram, exactly. And so Jennifer was there with Enterprise Nation doing that. And I was there actually launching my Savvy Startup Club, which is my coaching program for female founders. And we went and had coffee. And I just love what Jennifer does on social media, but specifically on LinkedIn. So I really wanted to have you on the show because I think LinkedIn is really an area that there's so much stuff out there about how to grow Instagram following and how to build up your Facebook groups. There's so much out there, but actually the quality of the stuff out there about LinkedIn is a little bit hit and miss. So I'm really excited to for everyone to hear about what you do, and I'd love it if in your words you could just explain a little bit about who you are and what you do for entrepreneurs.
Okay, so I'm Jennifer Kokorin, and I have a company called My Super Connector. And I think in a nutshell, I help entrepreneurs and professionals to polish up their existing online profiles and connect with finesse. So ultimately, I help people to feel social on social media, to attempt their own and manage their own. At the moment, I do LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, but LinkedIn is definitely my favorite. I love it. And I think it's becoming more popular. It's been around for 15 years, but the last year or two, I see a lot more people kind of tapping into it and trying it out. And it's definitely a fantastic platform. Once you use it, it's the only one that was really set up with business in mind. So people on it are in a business mindset, and you get all the CEOs, the CFOs. You don't necessarily get them in a Facebook group or a Facebook page. I think it's a really great platform, and I like helping people to learn how to navigate it and ultimately to polish up their profiles first, because if you don't have a good profile, it's similar to a website, nobody's actually going to bother to want to speak to you or learn about your business, your product or your service.
Yes. And actually, we're going to get really into sort of some top tips about how you can start to begin polishing up your profile. And Jennifer's got some really good insights for you guys. But a lot of my audience are just about to start their own business, or they're in that mindset about starting their own business and on the cusp of change. And I just wanted to get your thoughts on why you think it's so important for them to grasp social media and really master social media at these early days, because I know it's something that when so many of us are coming from corporate life and moving into becoming our own boss, it's something that people all of a sudden don't really know how to navigate. So I'd love to get your thoughts on why it's so important.
Yeah, I just think it's another form of communication, and it's a great way of leading people to your website, which is ultimately what you want: traffic to buy your product or service. And like my 3 top tips for any social media, and they're very basic. To be successful, number 1 is to be social. A lot of people go on and they're a bit scared and they lurk and they hide. But if you're social, even if it's like liking a comment, liking a post, making a tiny little comment saying, thanks for sharing, Or if you're not comfortable on the feeds, you can always direct message people and stand out that way. So number one, be social. So many people aren't, and it's in the name, social media. And then number two, be consistent. So whether you're going on like once a day, once a week, once a month, I think once you start to be consistent, you build up that know, like, and trust factor. And there's nothing worse if you look at a Facebook page, for example, and nobody's posted for 2 months. It just looks dead, and you presume that business has gone under, and it may not be. You just may not have got around to it. So it's far better to post once a week than every day and just keep it going. And so first one, social. Number two, be consistent. And the last one is follow the 80-20 rule. And this is one where people kind of mess it up. So 80% of the time you have to be like inspiring, educating, informing, and motivating. And a lot of people, that 80%, they're advertising. So it just feels like they're sell, kind of spammy. And then the 20% of the time is a soft sell, so a soft push from you. But even then on social media, the key is to give value. So you could be doing a blog or a video, a talk like this. So you're ultimately giving something back. I think a lot of people, they mistake social media with advertising. And yeah, obviously there is paid advertising on the platforms, but ultimately the profiles are just about communicating and just connecting as human beings.
Yes.
So
yes.
I just think it's another way it's a great way if you met someone in person like we have at a conference, then we've connected online and we followed up. It's a great way of staying in touch because, we all have busy lives. We live in a fast-paced society. So it's nice, especially when you've met someone, even at an event, and you've exchanged cards, when you connect and then you can actually see their posts in your feed and stay in touch. So it just helps to kind of strengthen the relationship, I think.
Yes.
So I'm not going to lie and say social media is the be all and end all. I think it's part of your whole marketing plan. Like, you need to have a website. It's great to have social media, but you want to be sending people somewhere. And so many people, they're just not sending people to their site. So it's like a missed opportunity, and you need to be building your email list. So email marketing and social media go hand in hand, and the website. So yeah, I think it's great, but it's part of a bigger plan.
I love that, and I really love those tips. But I love what you said, especially about being social, because I think that's a really big part of social media that all of us can fall foul to sometimes, is having a one-way dialogue. And I always say to my clients, if you want to build a relationship with someone, you can't do it if you just sit in silence the whole time. Try not to be a passive consumer of social media, and try and be active and comment and show an interest in what other people are doing and what your potential clients might be doing, and in turn they'll take interest on you. And I especially love what you were saying as well about just that consistency, because life is busy. And as you said, social media is not the be all and end all, but it's important, even if it is just once a week, to just share something, even if it's not original content, share something that you think your audience might like. So I love those tips. And we're going to go a bit more into your sort of, more like specifically on LinkedIn in a sec. But when looking at LinkedIn, because I think, for me, LinkedIn for Business is still a bit of an enigma. I think I've always thought of it as where recruitment companies that have no idea, haven't even bothered looking at my profile, contact me about things that are completely irrelevant. And they will probably see that I've been my own boss for quite a few years now. So it's always been an area that I've, I guess, hidden away from. And I think a lot of my audience as well probably see it as somewhere where they're going to get jobs rather than be able to use, maybe even for business to business. So before we dive into your sort of juicy tips on how we can really use LinkedIn for Business, what are some of the big mistakes that you often see maybe startups or entrepreneurs making when it comes to LinkedIn specifically?
Yeah, I see a lot of mistakes, and it's not even just startups, it's people who've been around for years. I think the number one is people not personalizing things, so not personalizing their connection requests. So I would say out of every 100 I get, only 5 people bother to actually say, hi Jennifer, I read your blog, or we met at this event, or I was referred to you. They actually give me some kind of reason as to why they want to connect with me. And I'm an introvert, even though I'm chatty, and when I get connection requests with no introduction, it does feel a bit like someone throwing a virtual business card at you. It's like if you're in a networking event, and we've all been there, and some pushy people are just pushing the card. You haven't even had a conversation, and that's what it feels like. And I think it's such a missed opportunity. And those 5 people out of the 100, they always stand out. I always connect to them straight away, and the others stay in the queue until I get the time to get back to them, because I'm going to connect with my engaged kind of network. So if other people are mailing me and notifying me, that's where my concentration goes. So, sometimes I won't get back to people for a week or 2 weeks. And, I used to, if I'm perfectly honest, I used to delete off a lot of the non-personalized ones. And I thought, there are some people who don't know how to use the platform, or there will be some good people here. So now I actually message them and ask why they want to connect, how they found me, how we can help each other. And there is a way of doing that within LinkedIn. A lot of people, they just know that you can accept and ignore, but there's a button on top if you can manage your connections, and that allows you to message them without having even connected. And it's great because I find out, oh, Mary told me to get in touch, and you're like, oh, okay, this is actually a potential lead. I really want to connect with this person. Or somebody's saying they saw my blog, or something of interest. You do get oddballs as well. I've had people kind of crazy come back, you have a lovely dress, or I can't remember why I want to connect to you. It's quite insulting, and it's like, well, I don't really want to connect with you if you don't even know why you want to connect with me. But yeah, not personalizing, I think, is the biggest mistake, because you're starting off on the wrong footing. And then as a follow-up to that, when people do connect, hardly anyone ever responds and says, hi, thanks for connecting. They just kind of accept the connection. And I'm like, that's elite. That's actually, well, it's a way of continuing the conversation. So that's another missed opportunity. If someone does actually accept with you, actually say something to them. You don't have to go into a cell or anything, but just say, oh, thanks for connecting, wishing you a great day, or wishing you a great bank holiday weekend. It just makes people feel good and acknowledged. And so yeah, personalization. And then the headline, I think, is the biggest mistake for me, because like you said, years ago, it was really a platform to kind of accompany your CV and for job seekers. But over the years, it has actually changed. So it's still that, but you can also build your personal brand and build your business. And the title area, like the headline, it's not actually your role title. You have to think in terms of SEO and what are like the keywords for LinkedIn and how people are going to find you. So a lot of people just put generic stuff like managing director or CEO and CFO, but you're not telling anyone what you do. So like if I was looking for you, I'd be typing in London marketing expert, or, London coach for entrepreneurs. That's how you type. So you need to be mindful of that. So, when you're on Google, when you do a search, you're usually searching for a place or a thing. On LinkedIn, you're searching for a person. So you have to be aware of the keywords. And a good tip is to put in the geography, especially if you're only working in London or Manchester or Newcastle. Put in Newcastle based, because it will give you a bit of a boost, when people actually type in that. So yeah, they're my biggest bugbears, I think. Yeah, not personalizing things, just sending the and even if they, to be honest, even if they do send the generic introduction, that's better than nothing. But I see as well non-personalized, recommendation requests. You can go in and tweak that, and you can remind people, I'd really like a recommendation for you in relation to that XYZ project that we did together, blah, 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 and make it easy for people. So yeah, it's just, again, it goes back to being social, doesn't it? And actually trying to connect with the person. But yes, I would say personalization and the headline. I could go on. There are a few more mistakes, but I think they're the most common.
Yes. And I'm guilty. I'm totally guilty, hands up, of at least one of those mistakes. So do not feel, I was making notes. But do not feel bad if you haven't done these things, because actually,
no, don't.
When you think about it, so many times someone, even if they've sent me a personalized request, I've accepted, but it wouldn't have killed me just to say, you know what, thanks for reaching out. Why were you interested in finding out more? So everyone is guilty of this, is what I'm trying to say. But it's really useful to know some of the quick wins that people can start to implement straight away to start making the most of LinkedIn.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, there is, in my opinion, some platforms that are much more suited to B2C. So like talking directly to your audience, directly to your potential customers, such as Instagram and even Facebook. They're great for building a community. However, I really think that a lot of people are struggling to find ways to connect the dots when it comes to business. you know. And I just wanted to know if you could maybe just share what you think the fundamental differences are for using social media for, you know, business to consumer, B2C, and business to business, B2B.
To be honest, I act more or less the same on LinkedIn, whether I'm chatting to a customer or another business owner, because I just think people buy people at the end of the day, and it's all going to be down to your personal brand and your USP. You know, there's a lot of social media people, so it's kind of like, how do I stand out? And my USP is that I'm a super connector, and you know, I'm a really good networker in person as well, and I always connect my clients and kind of generate PR for them. So I don't just help them with the social media, I help them after and connect them to people. So you just need to figure out what is your USP and why should people buy that product or service from you, and how do you differentiate from others, and how are you going to give them the most value in relation to what they need. Because at the end of the day, it all boils down to the person, really. What I find, the way I differentiate is more in relation to if you're a product-based kind of business or service-based. I think if you're product-based and you connect with someone and you're selling like organic bed sheets or chocolate or cakes, you can mention your product pretty much straight away because you've got a product, and why not? And, you know, maybe you want to connect and actually send somebody a sample of your cake, or, you know, it's a nice way to start the relationship. But I think if you are service-based, there's nothing worse than the first message is a sell. You know, it feels spammy. You need to feel just, you know, unconnected straight away. So you definitely have to relationship build and pace it. You know, obviously you want leads eventually, but I definitely think, you know, personalize the connection. Then when people connect, respond, then try and think of some way you can give them value. You might want to touch base like a week later and say, you know, hi, you know, just let you know I've written this new blog, or I've just created this webinar. Give them something free of value and ask them, do they want it? And if they do, great, you know, and then you can follow up even a week later. Hopefully they'll respond and say, yeah, it was great, I really enjoyed that, blah, blah, blah. And you actually continue the conversation that way. If it goes quiet, you know, you can always touch base and say, oh, I'm just wondering, did you, you know? So it's all about moving it on, but it's a slower pace than if you have a product. So that's really how I differentiate. If I want to be more corporate myself, I have the LinkedIn company page. So I'm a bit more like my super connector, business-like on my page, and I'm more personable on my profile. So it allows you to kind of to have two tones, and it's like two for the price of one as well. You know, if I'm posting on my page, I would do it on a different time to post it on my profile, and you can actually share from your page then on your profile. But yeah, I think direct selling, you know, on the home feed and all, it just doesn't really work on LinkedIn. If you do it all the time, it's just very spammy. And even on your page, you want to give value. A way that I kind of sell, I suppose, is through direct messaging, because not enough people make the most of it. So I could reach out and say, for example, I'm running clinics in Croydon, you know, with the council, blah, 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 free clinics. If you want to come down on this date. And then at the very end of the message, I could slip in, and actually I'm also doing a workshop with Croydon Chamber, blah, 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 you know, and slip it in that way, because not enough people actually use the direct messaging, and you can reach a lot of people. I know it's time consuming, but if you copy and paste and then tweak your message according to each person, you know, you get a good response. And that's how I fill up a lot of events, is through direct messaging versus the actual home feed, because the feed moves so fast and people can miss your post. Even if it's a great post, they mightn't have signed on, or, you know, you've posted again since, so they've missed the original. So I hope that makes sense. And I've gone,
yeah, it makes complete sense. It makes complete sense. No, I really love those tips. And so when we're looking at business to business specifically, because I hear what you're saying about, you know, you maybe have a slightly different tone for business to be business C. But I guess what I've noticed is that a lot of people don't share as much of their personal life.
Yeah.
Maybe people do in other platforms,
yeah,
like Instagram and Facebook, for example. And also there's not an expectation to see much of your personal life on LinkedIn. And I think that's why I'm quite keen to find out, when it comes to B2B specifically, what would be your like ultimate, and I know you've got tons because you're so brilliant at this, but what would be your ultimate sort of top 3 tips on how to use LinkedIn effectively when you're trying to connect business to business?
I think it's always good to follow company pages. So if there are any other businesses that you really admire or you want to target, you know, start following their pages and engaging with their posts, because you'll stand out. And then if you go to connect with them, you know, they'll recognize you from commenting on the page. And we all like to feel good. If I post something and somebody likes it or comments, you're always like, yeah, I like that person. So that's a good way in. I think another way is to find a good group. You know, they're very underutilized at the moment. And if I'm honest, they've gone a bit stagnant. But LinkedIn have recently announced that they're going to like jazz up the groups in the next few weeks, few months. So it'll be interesting to see what happens and if engagement starts to flow again, because it's a great way to connect with really good businesses. If you find a great group, you know, and if it's a local group, you can reach out to actually 15 people a month for free on the free version and message them. You don't have to be connected with them. And it's a great, you can say, oh, for example, I'm a part of South East London Business Network, which is a really big group locally to me. There's about 3,000 business owners. And you can reach out and say, we both belong to the Selbyne group. It'd be great to connect. And it's like an in. You know, there are some great groups out there. You know, you may just need to join one group, which will have all your target audience in it. A lot of people, they make the mistake. It's not a mistake, but they join loads of groups with their peers, and that can get a bit overwhelming. You know, if you're in marketing and you're in 50 other marketing groups, it's like, they're not really your target audience. So I think it's good to be in a few, you know, less than 5. You're allowed to be in 50 groups, but try and think where your target audience are, because they're going to be really good groups. So I think, yeah, groups, pages, and yeah, direct messaging again. I know I'm harping on again, but if you find someone in a search that you want to connect, just reach out, but tell them why you want to connect. If you've read something interesting in their summary, or like you're following them, because you can follow people without being connected, you can mention that and say, oh, I saw that you won at the such and such awards, you know, congratulations. And I think try to be aware of people's personality style, and by that I mean kind of like the disc profile and the different colors that we can all fall into, because different people like to engage in different ways. So the 4 colors, if people don't know, they're like red, green, yellow and blue, and you can tell usually from someone's summary, or even you can kind of guess based on their role what way they're going to want to be talked to. For example, I'm green, so greens, I think we're quite polite and chatty, and you can guess that from the summary, the way you kind of present yourself. And you can, you know, suggest a coffee to a green. It's all about building relationships and connecting, really. A red person is very extroverted, to the point, you know, a real go-getter, like an Alan Sugar kind of a type of person. And they don't want to do coffee because they're busy. So, you know, they want you straight to the point in your messages. So you don't need to be as kind of friendly, I suppose. You can just be more direct and to the point. So you can kind of go straight in and say, I'd love to have a 10-minute call with you. When's good for you? Whereas maybe with a green, you might have to suggest a coffee, or, you know, kind of build it up a bit more. And a blue, they're more compliance types. So typically like accountants, I suppose, is a blue, very analytical. They don't want kind of messages with emojis, and they just don't want too much kind of, I suppose, enthusiasm. They just prefer facts and figures. So if you want to connect with a blue, you know, be specific and tell them exactly why, and then they'll buy into you. And a yellow is like an outgoing extrovert. So they're all about the who do you know? So it's good to name drop with a yellow and say, oh, we both know Ruth, it'd be great to connect with you. So if I was to give like them all words, I think a red is what, like just get straight to the point. A yellow is who, a green is how, and I think sorry, apologies. A blue is how, and a green is kind of like why. So you can kind of gauge based on summaries and the way they post. I know I'm going a bit off tangent, but I just think it's really good if you can spot some traits to just tweak your approach, and it definitely works, you know, rather than a blanket approach to everyone and a complete copy and paste. And that's why you don't get traction on copy and paste messages from everyone. You'll just get that particular color style responding to the message.
That is so good. I think sometimes we know, we all know about personality types. We all can almost adapt our approach when we're in person, because you get a feel from the way someone's standing, the way they're working the room or not, the way that they're engaging with you, their eye contact, what type of personality traits that they may have. And it's easier to do that. But actually the idea of reading their profiles, as you said, taking the time to actually find out a bit about their company, read their profile, and starting to build up a picture of the kind of connection style that they like, can actually have a huge impact on the way that they respond to your message. And for anyone who's interested in learning more about DISC, I'll drop a link to a cheat sheet to this below, just to give you an introduction to a little bit more about what it is that Jennifer's saying, because I think it would massively help you. She is the super connector, and she knows what she's talking about, but it will massively help you in any type of networking scenario. So it's great that you've brought that into this as well. So then, just to recap as well, it's showing that genuine interest and making sure that you are knowledgeable about the person and the company that you're reaching out to. It's sharing great content and adding value. I think you've said that quite a few times. It's not just about going straight in for the sell. It's adding value, sharing insights that might be useful for them, maybe even connecting someone that might be useful for them, they're looking for something. And like Jennifer, being a connector. Think about how the bigger picture, the bigger sort of ecosystem of the relationship that you want to build. So I absolutely love your tips. They're fantastic, really, really useful and really clear. I think they're really, really easy for people to start using straight away.
Oh, thanks.
Which I'm not surprised about. So
I feel like I'm rambling, but it's good that it's coming out okay.
No, you're not rambling at all. I think people really, really do want to know about this topic. I think it's an area where, as you said, even LinkedIn is still, revamping things. There's a huge opportunity here for people who are maybe overwhelmed by 1,000,001 Facebook groups, or, Instagram, people speed talking to you at speed time. There's an opportunity to really, make a mark on this platform. So I think it's really good to know that. Now, if people, I really like to learn by inspiration. I like to teach by inspiration. So if people are looking for people that they could potentially look to see who's doing it really well, maybe some of your clients, where would you advise that they look?
I think in your industry, if you admire anyone, it's always good to have a look at their profile and just scroll down and even see what groups do they belong to, what company pages do they follow. You can see what influences, they follow, and you can get a lot of inspiration that way. So it's a bit of a cyber stalk, really. If you want, you can go into the privacy settings and you can actually make yourself anonymous if you don't feel comfortable. It's funny, back in the day when it started, I used to do that all the time, but now I'm just like, so what? They know I looked at their profile. If they pip up to me, I'll be like, I want to connect. It's a great profile. How are you? So don't worry if people see you looking. So it's a social platform. It's all good. But a bit of cyber stalking, really, just and searching. Not a lot of people actually look to the content. Because when you do a search with the search bar at the top of LinkedIn, most people just search for people. But if you type in specific terms like, email marketing expert London or marketing event Croydon, if you click on the content tab, you'll have a look. If you look in their home bar, you'll actually spot it. You can see some really interesting articles and events that are going on, and it's just a great way of kind of keeping up to date. But a lot of people, like most of my clients, when I sit down and we're doing a one-to-one and I show them, they're like, I never even saw that, So I think just explore even the platform, and just, even if you're searching for something, have a look at what comes up and the menu bar. And, it's always good to go into your privacy and settings now and again and just have a little navigate to see, because for example, one person I worked with, they had actually a really good profile photo, but they had it switched off in the settings that it was only visible to their connections. So when anyone was looking to connect with them, they just saw the generic avatar, which is never great because it doesn't help to build any kind of know, like and trust. And I just reached out and messaged them, and they didn't even realise. So it had been like that for years, and it's like, it's a missed opportunity. So definitely have a look in your settings, because they're always doing little tweaks, and they're not as scary as you think, the settings, when you go in. They're quite easy to navigate, and just make sure that everything's switched on that you want, and everything's switched off that you don't. I've turned off a lot of notifications, the birthday ones. I know it's nice, so-and-so has a birthday, or so-and-so is celebrating 5 years in business. And to be honest, if you want, you can keep them, and you can use them as like trigger events. So when you see that, if it's a good contact, you can reach out and go, happy birthday, that's great, blah, blah, blah. But for me, I just found it a bit overwhelming in the feed. So you can turn off a lot of things like that.
Yes, that's really useful to know. And do you know, it's funny, because I think a lot of people, as you said, don't use the content bar, and they definitely don't use the events. I was quite surprised at how many people I do a lot of free events, live events on starting a business made simple. And I was surprised at how many people said they actually found the event through LinkedIn, because it's not intuitively where people go to search for events. So definitely you guys should definitely check that out. Now, this is just the tip of the iceberg of what Jennifer can teach you. And I'd love if you could just tell people a little bit more about how they can find out more about you.
I think just on my website is the main place where I live. Any social media, if anybody wants to connect with me on LinkedIn, please send me a connection request and say, I saw you chatting with Irene, and I promise I will connect and accept you straight away. So I post a lot about events that I'm doing locally or in London, or if I make webinars or blogs. So I think that's a great place to connect with me, because I love LinkedIn. Otherwise, I do lots of guest blogging. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest. I do a lot of local events in Croydon. But I think the website and LinkedIn probably are the main two places to find me.
Fantastic. Okay, so I will drop links to both of those two resources below, so you can definitely go and check those out. And thank you so much. This has been a fantastic interview, Jennifer. We've learned a lot in a very short space of time.
Thank you.
I hope you guys have found this interview helpful. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to hit subscribe. And success loves company, so share this video with just one person who you think it might help. Now, before you go, please let us know if you have any parting words of advice for our budding entrepreneurs.
Yeah, just be social. You have to kind of get out of your comfort zone as an entrepreneur, and I've discovered this as an introvert. We're doing a video now. A year ago, the thought of this would have given me a heart attack. Seriously, I'm quite video phobic, but I've kind of pushed myself out of my comfort zone. And the more you do something, the easier it becomes and the more natural. And you have to get out of yourself a little bit as an entrepreneur, because I was quite naive when I launched. I thought, I have an online business, I have a website, they're all going to come to me. No, you need to do face-to-face networking as well. You need to get out there. You need to have a bit of an elevator pitch so people will know what you're all about. And social media is just a great way of continuing the conversation, like I said. But yeah, try and smash through your comfort zones. Take things in steps, take it day by day, because when you do start off, there's a lot, that can overwhelm you. And I think it's so important to have a positive mindset at all times. Surround yourself with positive people, good energy, and eat well. This is going to sound like your mother, but eat well, exercise, go to the gym, make time for it, because you can get a bit consumed with your business. And make sure you take breaks. To be honest, I'm terrible. Sometimes I'm on my laptop for like 3 hours and I'm like, oh my God, I haven't stood up. You need to just look after yourself, because you are your business. And when you get sick, we don't get sick pay, especially if you're a freelancer. So yeah, you need to look after yourself, I think. And positivity and mindset, I think, are the biggest things,
So true, so true. Wise words from Super Connector Jennifer Kokorin.
I've learned the hard way.
Yes, haven't we all? But it's really true. Thank you so much again for joining this interview, and I wish you all the best of luck with everything that you do.
Thank you so much for having me.
No worries. Bye for now.
Bye.
Ready to start your dream business in the next 12 months? Join my Savvy Startup Club VIP waiting list for professional business coaching, expert training, and real-life online support. Going solo doesn't have to mean doing it all alone. Join the VIP waiting list now at savvystartupclub.com.